You make $75,000 a year. You've got a decent car, a nice place to live, and you're contributing to your 401k. By every measure, you're doing well. You're living the American dream. So why does your bank account look exactly the same as it did 5 years ago when you were making $55,000? And here's what's going to mess with your head. You might actually be in a worse financial position now than you were before that raise. I'm going to show you exactly why, and it's going to change everything about how you think about money. My name is Cashford, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart, hard-working people keep making the same financial mistakes that trap them in the middle class forever. If you're someone who feels like you're doing everything right, but somehow still living paycheck to paycheck, despite making good money, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because what I'm about to show you is something that most financial advisors won't talk about, and it's the exact reason why the middle class keeps getting squeezed while thinking they're winning. Here's the thing, and I need you to really hear this because it's the foundation of everything else. The middle class isn't just failing to build wealth, they're actively getting poorer with every smart financial decision they make. Let me paint you a picture. You're making $55,000 a year. You're driving a Honda Civic that's paid off, renting a decent apartment for around $1,500 a month. After all your expenses, you've got maybe $300 to $400 left over each month. It's not much, but you're stable. Then you get that promotion. Your salary jumps to $75,000. That's a $20,000 raise. And this is where everything goes sideways. Look, I've seen this play out hundreds of times, and it follows the exact same pattern. You start thinking, I can finally afford the things I've been putting off. And that makes total sense, right? You worked hard for this raise, you deserve to enjoy it. So you trade in that paid-off Civic for something nicer, maybe a $35,000 or $40,000 SUV, monthly payment around $600. The dealership makes it sound so reasonable. Then your lease is up and everyone's telling you that renting is throwing money away. You get pre-approved for a mortgage. The bank says you qualify for $350,000. Your mortgage payment jumps from $1,500 in rent to around $2,700 a month. Now here's where it gets really interesting. That raise gave you about $1,200 extra per month after taxes, but your housing cost went up by $1,200. Your car payment went up by $600. That's already more than your entire raise, and we haven't even talked about the furniture, higher utilities, property maintenance, increased car insurance. When you add it all up, your expenses went up by around $2,800 per month. You got a $1,200 raise and added $2,800 in new expenses. You're not building wealth, you're going backwards. Now you might be thinking, but Cashford, the house is an investment, I'm building equity. And look, I get it. That's what we've been taught our entire lives. But let me show you what's actually happening here. When you buy that house, yeah, you're building some equity. But here's what most people don't realize. In the first year of a typical mortgage, you're paying way more in interest than you're building in equity. You might build maybe $4,000 or $5,000 in equity that first year. Meanwhile, you spent $7,500 on closing costs, you dropped $8,000 on furniture, you paid $6,000 in maintenance because owning a home means things break and you have to fix them. You built $5,000 in equity, but spent close to $20,000 in actual cash. You didn't get wealthier. You got a nicer place to live, which is fine, but that's not the same thing as wealth building. Here's the psychological trap. We've been conditioned to see certain purchases as investments, even when they're really just expenses. Your car is not an investment. Your house is not really an investment. It's a place to live that might appreciate over time. And this brings me to something that I think is one of the biggest wealth killers in America today. Social media has completely destroyed our ability to assess our own financial situation objectively. There's research showing that about half of millennials admit that social media influences their spending decisions. But here's what that actually looks like. Your coworker posts about their new Tesla. Suddenly, you're thinking about your car. Your friend shares photos from Europe. Now, you're pricing flights. Your neighbor renovates their kitchen. You start getting quotes from contractors. This is what I call the comparison tax. Every single day, you're bombarded with images of other people's highlight reels, and your brain interprets that as, this is normal, this is what I should have.
Look, your brain doesn't know that half those people are drowning in debt. It just sees the lifestyle and thinks you're falling behind. And here's the really messed up part. Most of the people you're comparing yourself to are broke. They're just broke with better credit scores and nicer stuff. Recent surveys show that about 3/4 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That luxury car? Probably a 72-month loan at 8% interest. That beautiful house? They might be one job loss away from foreclosure. That amazing vacation could be on a credit card at 24%. You're not competing with wealthy people. You're competing with people who are really good at looking wealthy, and that's a game you cannot win. Let me show you what this looks like over time, because this is the part that's going to stick with you. Imagine two people. Both start at $75,000, both get normal raises over their career. The only difference is how they handle their money. Person A follows the standard playbook. Nice house, nice car, keeping up with their peer group. They save about 5% in their 401k. Person B keeps their expenses closer to what they were making before, living like they make $55,000 even though they're making $75,000. They invest that difference consistently. Over 30 years, Person A retires with maybe $400,000 or $500,000 saved. That generates around $20,000 a year in retirement income. Add Social Security, and they're living on maybe $45,000 a year. They took a massive pay cut in retirement. Person B at 45 has close to $1 million saved. That's generating over $80,000 a year. They're living better in retirement than they did during their working years. The difference is over $1.5 million. Same starting salary, different choices. And here's what really gets me. It's not even about the money. It's about freedom. At age 45, Person A has maybe $200,000 saved. Their boss treats them terribly. The company culture is toxic. They want to leave, but they can't. Their mortgage is $2,700. Their car payment is $600. They need that paycheck. They're trapped. Person B at 45 has close to $1 million saved. Same toxic boss, same terrible culture. They walk into their boss's office on Tuesday and quit. They take 3 months to figure out what they actually want to do. They're free. This is what real wealth actually means. It's not the car or the house or the vacation. It's options. It's the ability to say no to things that don't serve you. Real wealth is reaching your 50s and realizing you could retire tomorrow if you wanted to. You just choose to keep working because you actually like what you're doing. Here's a simple test. Take your monthly expenses and multiply by 6. That's your minimum emergency fund. If you don't have that right now, you're financially vulnerable, period. It doesn't matter what you drive or where you live. And look, I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. I'm saying it because the first step to fixing this is being honest about where you actually are. So here's what you actually do about this. 3 rules that will completely change your financial trajectory. Rule number 1. The raise rule. The next time you get a raise, take at least half of it and set up an automatic transfer to an investment account. You never see it, you never touch it, it just goes there every month. The other half you can use to improve your life or pay down debt. But wealth building comes first. Always. Most people do this exactly backwards. They upgrade their entire lifestyle immediately and then try to save what's left. There's never anything left. Rule number 2 is the used car rule. Buy reliable used cars with cash. A 3-year-old Honda or Toyota will save you over $150,000 in your lifetime compared to always buying new with financing. Let someone else eat that depreciation. And before you say, but I can't afford to pay cash for a car, if you can't afford to pay cash, you definitely can't afford the payments. Rule number 3 is the housing rule. Your housing cost should never exceed 25% of your take-home pay, not your gross pay, your take-home pay. The bank will approve you for way more than that, but what you can pay and what you should pay are 2 different things. That difference between what the bank says you can afford and what you actually should spend, that's your wealth-building money. That's your freedom money. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Following these rules means you're going to look less successful than your peers for a long time. Your car won't be as nice, your house won't be as big, your vacations won't be as Instagram-worthy. But here's what you need to remember. In 20 years, nobody's going to remember what you drove in your 30s, but you will remember whether you were financially free or still making car payments at 65. There's research showing that people who follow these wealth-building principles report being genuinely happier than people chasing the lifestyle, because real happiness comes from security and options, not from stuff. Look, the middle-class trap works because it's comfortable and socially acceptable. Everyone around you is making the same choices, so it feels normal. But normal is broken. Calculate your emergency fund number this week, 6 times your monthly expenses. Write it down. Do you have it? If not, you know exactly what needs to happen. Next week, I'm breaking down the exact investment accounts you need and how to automate this entire system. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. Share this with one person who needs to hear it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.